Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today we're going to talk about DIY versus professional. Do you want to do something on your own and the pros and the cons of that versus hiring a professional and the pros and cons of that? So first off, we're going to start out with all you DIYers out there. So probably the biggest pro to doing something yourself as far as building a deck is the cost. You are going to save at least 50% of what you would originally have if you invest into having a professional build your deck versus doing it yourself. So cost, probably the number one thing that you're gonna save is money. Another reason why you might wanna try to build your own deck, it's self-gratifying. You're gonna be really proud of yourself when you finish that project and you can send me a photograph of it and say, hey doctor, look what I've done. I've probably had, no lie, over 100 people so far in my social media journey say, hey doc, I didn't have the confidence to build this deck until I started following your page. I watch you on Instagram and I watch you on YouTube. And from your YouTube videos, it has given me the confidence to try and do this on my own. And here's a picture of what I've built. I always try to get back to those people and say, good job. I really like what you did. Give them a little bit of boost because it's confidence that's gonna keep you going for the next time you try to do something on your own. Believe it or not, building a deck is really good exercise. So you're gonna be exhausted at the end of a day. If you work really hard, you work hard like we do out in the field, you're lifting beams and you're setting joists and you're doing all that stuff, you are going to be tired at the end of the day. It's good, invigorating exercise. If you do your own project, you build your own deck, it's gonna be exactly as you visualize it. Another reason why you might consider building your own deck is so that you can have it done exactly the way you visualize it and be happy with it when you're finished. Okay, and some of the cons. Why would you possibly not want to build your own project? Would be probably one that I would think of is the permitting. If you think you need a building permit or you don't know if you need a building permit, you have to do a lot of research to make sure that you know how to build that deck. So that's probably the number one thing, is making sure that all the members are sized properly, the footings are the correct size, they're located in the right place, your beams are the right size, your joists are the correct size with the correct spacing, that you have enough posts in there, that everything's engineered to withstand the weights, and that the house will take the load of building a deck. If you don't know any of that information, get cracking. You're gonna have to learn a lot about what you need to do to build that deck. More than likely, if you build the deck yourself, it's gonna take you longer to build it. Most professionals can come in and do it at a decent clip. As long as there's no construction delays or material delays or things like that, most professionals can get in. They're gonna come in at least 5 days a week and get that project done. When you do it yourself, you might not work 8 hours a day. You may not take quite as long for any particular day. It's gonna take you longer to build that deck. When you decide to do something on your own, if you're doing it solely by yourself, you're probably gonna need to find some help occasionally to get some of those parts in place. I've seen guys build decks. I personally built decks by myself, but it is a lot more difficult, especially if you don't know exactly what you're doing or you've never done it before. So you may consider getting somebody to help you out with that construction. Also, you may need additional tools. You might find yourself having to go to Home Depot or some rental yard and renting other tools or purchasing tools for your collection. That can get expensive. I have quite a bit invested in my tools, well more than the average deck builder does, including all the heat blankets and modification that I do to some of my decks. So if you're not in it to win it, you may not be able to afford to purchase all those tools. It might double the cost of your materials for your deck. Okay, so one other thing you might consider is the liability. If you don't get the proper permitting, or if you just go ahead and build the deck thinking, oh, I think this will be okay, you may end up with a lot of liability on your hands. Somebody may get injured if the railing's not done to proper specifications. If the beams aren't sized properly and they're sagging, it could be a problem if you go to resell your home and the home inspector notices some things that maybe aren't up to code. So you got to think about the liability that you're taking on when you're building this deck. And one of the final things about a con for building and doing it yourself is the personal injury that may happen. We all have had injuries in the past. I've had some severe ones that have put me out for several months. Okay, DIYers, so there's your pros and your cons. Now let's go to the professional. So I'm gonna just let you know some things straight off the top of my head that may or may not be something to think about when you're hiring somebody to build your deck. When you hire a professional, you know it's going to be done right. Most professional deck builders have been in business for a while. You may consider hiring somebody that has a track record. I've been in business for 32 years and I'm still in business. I've been through a couple recessions and I came out on top. So always consider having somebody that's licensed, bonded, and insured, and that has been in business for over 10 years. That way you know that that company is probably going to build you something very reliable. Most professionals that build a deck will have all the equipment to do so. They won't have to go and rent too many tools. They're going to have everything they need. They're going to bring it in a trailer or a truck, and they're going to have what they need to build your deck properly. A lot of professionals will also have employees, and that will help them get that deck built properly and efficiently so that they're not sitting around at your home for several weeks on end, standing around. They're going to get it done. They know exactly what to do. They know how to do it. They know when to do it. So having the right guy with the right amount of people will make sure that that deck gets built efficiently. This is one you're going to want to check up on, guys. This could be a pro or it could be a con, depending on how you look at it. But having a professional that is licensed and bonded and insured is very important. To be a licensed general contractor in the state of Washington, I have to have insurance and I have to have a bond. And my insurance rates have quadrupled in the last 2 years. So something that used to cost me $5,000 a year, I am now paying $15,000 a year just to be insured. And I didn't do anything different. It's just that with everything else, the price of everything has gone up, so has my company insurance. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact of life, and it's something I have to stay licensed and bonded in the state of Washington. So that's an important one. You can always check with your local state to make sure that your contractor is registered and licensed, and I encourage you to do so because for 32 years I've been paying those premiums to stay in business and to stay on top of the game. And definitely, last but not least, if you hire a professional, it's going to be much safer for you because you're not going to be out trying to build this thing and you're not going to have to worry about any type of injuries. So those are some pros of why you'd hire a professional. Now, some of the cons, the number one con to hiring a pro is that it's going to cost a lot more to get that project done. There's no doubt about it. I understand that. You got to decide, is it worth it for you to take the time off work to build that deck, or should I just do what I do best and hire somebody to do what they do best and just take it that way, and instead of me trying to save some money, I actually just pay somebody else to do it and then it gets done. Even though you would do it yourself, you're making noise, but when somebody else is making the noise, that can be a distraction. So one of the cons might be that the noise that we make in your backyard all day long, if you work from home, that could be bothersome as well. Another con might be your contractor timeline. Depending on when your contractor gets to the project, we usually book out 6 to 12 months in advance. So getting us to the job can be a problem. Usually once I show up, I'm there until I'm finished, but I've heard nightmare stories of contractors that may show up for a down payment and then they're gone for weeks on end. I don't work that way, but it could be a problem if you hire the wrong guy. Once you hire a professional, you're locked into a contract that should not change. If you decide to make changes to your design of your deck during construction, that's going to cost you money because once we agree on something, we plan on building it that way. If a client decides to add something or change something, that's going to cost additional because it takes more time and we have to make adjustments to everything that we're doing to please you. So just remember, change orders equal money. And I touched on this a little bit, guys. You got to do your research on who you hire. You make sure that those contractors are licensed, because if you hire a bad contractor or a non-licensed contractor, the liability becomes yours, and that can become a really bad experience. You hear about it all the time. I've had several clients tell me, "Doctor, thank you so much. You've restored our confidence in contractors because we were taken advantage of. We have people that take down payments and never show up. I show up with tools on down payment day day, you have something in your driveway of value that if I don't show up tomorrow, you know that I'm gonna be back because I need to get those tools. So there's a few things, pros and cons of hiring a professional, guys. I hope that this video helps somebody in the future on how to decide how to build their deck. If you did, don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Thanks for watching and have a great day.